Welcome to the Peace Place. This is Judy, Coach Judy here, bringing you a word of love and a way and a place to focus attention during out the day. It's a place of peace and a place of love, and it's a place of power to renew life. It's a place where we can learn to respond rather than to react to just everything that comes our way. Oftentimes we react with offense and then we go on the defensive, and at the end of the day we find what a mess we've made. A place where we can learn to hear from God's Spirit of love rather than the ordinary way of what we know to expect, the ways that are familiar. It's a place where we can be transformed by God's love, His unconditional love, which is good. It's a place that we learn to know, abide, and listen for direction, to find out and walk a plan of love in our life, a plan of purpose, a plan of goodness for our lives. Have you noticed that we change only when we respond in a new way? Have you noticed that mostly we have short-term results when we try to change ourselves? When we rely only on our mind's automatic patterns and habits, we get what we always got, and we wonder what happened. If we want to live some other way, we must learn to invite another way. I invite you to come out of the fog of man's ways, of man's agendas and plans that are mostly repetitive, destructive, and divisive, and learn to focus on God in love's ways, including His transforming power. Now, the process and the way that I do that is just a reflection of the journey that I've been on for 40-some years, to be able to understand how it is that you can walk in peace, you can walk in love, and you can be a reflection and a help of compassion to people that you run into in your life. And the way that I've done that is God has turned me into a poet. As much of a surprise to me as anyone, and a writer. I was never trained as a writer, but now I see and sit here with over 1,000 stories of man's way to God's way. How do we make that transition so we can actually, rather than live in the stress of the world, but we can live in peace? So it's been a wonderful journey, because in the journey, God has completely transformed and changed my life. I tried not every, but many methods out there to change me to a place that I actually would be satisfied with when I looked in the mirror morning and night, or mostly avoided the mirror morning and night. But now I am able to rest in a place of peace and a place of love. And God is directing my steps to be able to share that process. Now it's known as a peace movement, with as many as possible. So I'll just start out today sharing with you one of the prayons. And I know that sounds like a kind of a strange word, but as I turned from trying to get my understanding from the ways of man and the ways of the world, and I turned to God, they are prayers. And as I released what I was hearing, it came out in poetry. So this morning I want to share with you one of the prayons that's called For You So Loved, and we'll see where that goes today. So, for you so loved. For you so love reaches deeper than the mind can go, rings more true than thoughts can know, embraces as it draws us in. God's love goes beyond the limit of our way. Though we think we're rulers of the day, we hold tightly to the thoughts we've known till we hit the wall, kneel, and then are shown God's love. Dispelling myths requiring perfection, trying to control all without detection a smile on her face hiding the terror, avoiding surrender, resisting the bearer of love. Revealing the limits of woulds and of shoulds, of methods of trying to empower, exchanging our efforts to limit you, Lord, for your unique intent for this hour, more love. Revealing our ways as we try to replace you with things we have been given so often without truth. Still, you take our hand in your hand, firmly turning us back toward your plan of love. We cried out enough, tried all we can do to strut our stuff, and yet we know inside of us there must be more. Help us to trust your love. Yes, shake us, remake us, and free us from our way. Addictions, restrictions, and the price we pay for believing our minds can mimic your way. God, show us what only you are today, this day, true love. Having studied as much as I studied about the way that our minds are and the way our personalities are, I used to teach stress management, used to teach all of this stuff about man's understanding of how to interact, how to have a relationship with others. I realized that we only know in part. Our offerings that we give to others are just a reflection of what we know, and we know very little in the big scope of things. And as I got frustrated with the limitations of what it is that man knows and man's ways, and I reached out to God, I and actually understood that he was alive and real and interactive and had a plan for me, which was mind-boggling in itself. And now I know at this stage that he has a plan for each one of us and that he will order every step that we take. And in the process of that, we have settled for something that we call love, which is mostly just some demonstration of lust in the world. And we have missed the idea that there is a true and an unconditional and unchanging love. So as I was crying out to God, he gave me this one, for you so loved. So it reaches deeper than the mind can go. We have a mind and we have emotions and we have a heart and we have access to the spirit of love, the spirit of God. And so I learned through this process to rely not on my mind and my own understanding, but actually to hear from a God that knows everything about everything all the time. And that in itself has been amazing to me. So what I know is as I pray, as I learn to abide and reach and interact with the living God, this goes so much deeper than the mind can go. And you know how we call it intuition, or we call it a gut reaction, or we call it whatever. And I have learned now to call it Holy Spirit, who knows everything about everything all the time. So I call on him. He answers me, shows me great and mighty things of which I know not. And I also know that you know, and we all know when it's BS and when it's truth and when it's true love. So this process about learning the difference between unconditional love and all the things that we've called love. And it embraces, because it's eternal. It's greater than everything that is offered to us in this world. And it draws us in when we learn how to turn to God and rely on God and hear from him. And it is love. So it goes way beyond the limits of our way. We only know the way that we learn to put sentences together and put words together and put thoughts together. And we don't even realize sometimes that we listen to the agendas of others rather than to an agenda of truth and love. So this love goes way beyond the limits of our way. And when we don't know that there's a God of love, and there's a God that knows everything about us, we think we're rulers of the day. That's how we survived. So we do our own thing, and oftentimes with a lack of satisfaction. we hold tightly and we defend the thoughts we've known. In part of the things that I've studied, I got to the point that I could listen to somebody speak 2 sentences and I could tell you how they'll turn away from peace, they'll turn away from love, and they'll turn into survival mode. That was a pretty tough place to think that we are that predictable. But now I know we really are that predictable, and I know that there is another way. And eventually we reach the point where we're sick and tired of going around the same mountain, that we realize the patterns that we're living are patterns that we've seen thousands of times before. And I'm just here to tell you, it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to stay that way. And it's not that I know the answers, but I know the one who knows the answers. It's not that I think that somehow I'm going to be able to know your path. I can teach you how to walk on the path with the one who knows your path. He knows the plans. He knows the end from the beginning. And he knows exactly what he wants and his plan for your life and will lead and guide you. I just get to be a coach and a teacher that helps point to him, to point to that unconditional love that's beyond all understanding. So we have many, it says the next stanza is dispelling myths requiring perfection. How much of the time do we remain dissatisfied with our life because we judge it and evaluate it as not perfect? Well, perfection is a myth. It's not someplace we're ever going to reach. And who wants their focus all on that anyway? So this process will help have a focus on love, a focus on God, a focus on the omniscience of who he is, and trying to control all without detection. Well, that's what we do. It's fear trying to hold on to everything in control. Sometimes we pretend to trick and hopefully deceive people with a smile on our face, but how often is it just hiding terror, avoiding surrender, resisting the bearer of love? Well, we can learn. There's a process, a very clear process that God has given us to be led and guided by him. And it's an amazing process that offers peace and power beyond anything that I've known. So tomorrow I'm going to proceed and continue through this prayer-home and work it out a little bit more, because the whole intention of this is not just for information to continue to store in our minds, but this is a God I'm talking about that changes hearts, that will heal, restore, save, whatever it is, to bring us to a place that we can walk that straight and narrow path that he has given us, a path of compassion and kindness and goodness and gentleness, but most of all, a pathway supported by the power of the creative God. So if any of this today has been of interest to you, I pray that it has brought you a sense of hope and a sense of comfort and a sense of peace. I just want you to know that you can find us on prayhomes.com, and that's prayOEMS.com, or you can look up the peacemovements.com and learn a great deal about the agenda that we're holding. And the agenda is to produce peace and spread peace and love to the world. It teaches us to be at peace. It teaches us about knowing wisdom. How's that for a concept? And to be able to think wisely and to sort through all the agendas that divide and destroy, and choose love instead. Strengthens us to be able to do that. We can stand arm in arm, releasing love and its transforming creative power. So if you'd like to join with us and learn more about what I'm talking about and be able to stand in a place of peace and a place of love, just invite you to follow us here on, YouTube. Yeah, follow us or become a member or whatever it is on YouTube, and join us for this journey. So this is Judy, just sending you love and peace today, and inviting you to follow us every morning, Monday through Friday. We're going to be live at 11. So this is Judy wishing you peace, love, and joy, and checking out for today.